Hi there. My name is Sam. I'm here to introduce myself to you while I walk a trail to the ocean. We're at a place called Wax Myrtle. It's in a national forest on the Oregon coast. I'm a caretaker here. I volunteer for them. I have for the past year. In a couple of months, I'll be managing this campground in particular. I'll be the volunteer host here. This is where I'll live. And I'll manage the campground. I'll take care of the guests. We have like maybe 60 campsites, something like this, right next to a lake or a river, the Silk Goose River, and a short walk to the ocean. We have also several lakes around us. The Oregon Dunes is an amazing, amazing place to live. I feel very fortunate to be able to live this way. So this video is going to be hosted on my own infrastructure, Autonomy Realm, something I created myself as a replacement to YouTube, which I felt was too flattening for someone like me. For the past 2 years, I've been documenting my life, and I've created almost 900 different transmissions. And I've let an AI analyze them and categorize them for me. And it sets visibility so that more personal content is put behind a subscription layer, a paywall that I created called Sanctum. And Autonomy Realms has multi-tenant features and just all kinds of stuff. I'm really proud of this project. It's what I've been working on while I've been volunteering out here. I've been looking for work. It hasn't gone well, obviously, with artificial intelligence. It's completely destabilized my industry. This is very understandable. It does an amazing job at programming for the most part. It does need somebody to supervise it and help it along at certain places. I don't think you could build Autonomy Realms that it could build it without guidance from me, for example. But it's destabilized what I have done all of my life. I've been a freelancer. I started programming in the 6th grade. I taught myself. I'm nearly 50 years old now. I'm 48. I'll be 49 in April. 2026. Who knows how long this video will be up? I don't know. But all my life I've been programming, and I've been a freelancer for the vast majority of that. I had 2 clients over a 20-year period, each one about 10 years each. And always freelancing was my backup option. But by the time that I wanted to go back to that, I was a top 10 freelancer on Guru decades ago. But I built up a reputation there, and it was always my backup option. And by the time I tried to go back to that, I didn't realize it was a dead platform. Everyone had moved to Upwork. And for the past year, I've been trying to find work on Upwork. Well, the vast majority, 95% of the proposals I create are never even opened by the client. And this to me is problematic and a sign of, this is platform incompatibility. And so, I've been trying to turn Autonomy Realms into something that can sustain my life well into the future. It's a product that I'm building, not just for myself, but for others. But I do, look for aligned clients and need aligned work. And that's what you're watching right now. This video is for my Upwork profile. There, in my experience over decades, I have not met many people like me who think the way I do, who see systems as deeply as I do. I'm a rare breed. I just am. And I'm having trouble finding patrons and clients who resonate with me at this point in my journey. And I think there are some out there who would be aligned with me. And this message is to you. If you want to know I could go on forever. Like, this video could get really long. I could talk about my background, but I've done this in other videos. I guess I'll do that, but I'm going to turn the camera around and you can hike to the ocean with me. So I'm on a Forest Service road here. This is a beach access road. We have a gate that locks it. The state parks rangers will come out here, and we will, the federal Forest Service. But it's also a trail. This is called the Wax Myrtle Trail. Wax Myrtle is such a beautiful place. I fell in love with it last year when I first got here, but somebody else was already the host here. I ended up becoming friends with her, and she moved on to something else, and I just got lucky to be able to have it this summer. Our summer periods are for 6 months, so they go from May through the end of September. After that, I'm planning to start heading north on the 101. I've only explored the 101 from Brookings, the southern point of Oregon, up to Newport. And I want to see it up to the tip, all the way up to Olympic Peninsula. Eventually, I would like to buy some land up there, I think. So, I'd like to go exploring that place. And I was thinking I might come back here every year, for 6 months I would live here, and for 6 months maybe I'd do some traveling. I live in an RV. I have for a couple of years now. So as far as a background, like I said, I started in the 6th grade. I started with GW Basic, built programs for my teachers, like my band teacher. I made a program called Name My Note that helped her students learn, notes on a scale, very simple program. Later, I would adapt it using Pascal so that it would save results and the teacher could look at them and things like that. I made a bunch of batch tools in MS-DOS. So the first Windows I ever used was Windows 3.1. It wasn't even an operating system at that point. It was an application you loaded up on your computer. And for high school, there were periods I didn't have a computer, so I wrote code on paper and I just ran systems in my head. And I made one of the first content management systems ever, eNet Wizard Matrix Server. I open sourced it briefly, but it was way ahead of its time. People didn't know they needed content management systems yet. They didn't exist. There was no WordPress. And I just moved on to other things. But I did use the code from that for decades in my freelance work. Every project I took on, I generally used my project as a framework for building whatever they needed. And, it became part of my toolkit, my arsenal. And at some point, I started taking on freelancing jobs at Guru. Like I said, I went into the top 10. The only individual to do it, the other 9 were companies based out of India at the time. I was the only one. I was so proud of this. And then, I just developed a relationship with the client, and we ended up working together for 10 years. And I created an entertainment platform similar to IMDb. It had gamification features. Like we had auctions for the visitors. They could participate in different activities on the site to earn points and then use those points to bid on stuff that we would auction off. It's an entertainment platform. This was all before like social media. Did that, and then we moved on to another project, and we started working on in the travel industry. The client I had owned all of the domains for like the root domains for different geographical locations, everything from like USA.com to world.com, Berlin, Paris, all of them, pretty much, because they just got in early and they wanted to develop them into assets. So the main site I worked on at first was hotel.net, and we created product comparison, a booking comparison engine way before like Kayak and stuff like that. And then we used SEM to capture traffic for those sites. And at one point we were doing like 100,000 ad buy in a month. We were making a lot of money. And then Google ate all our traffic. Like they literally, I guess they knew they could make more money doing it themselves than they could from ads, because they just ate the whole industry. And I saw that happening, and there were ways I thought that we could evolve to be better travel properties, but I just could never get the buy-in for it, and I did everything myself. So there's, and by the way, you can see all of this. I'll have to figure out, I guess. There are, now that I'm just thinking a lot of things out loud right now, I apologize. Essentially, I have videos on all of these things that you you could actually see the work that I've done over time, over these decades. But there's no easy way for me to share it with you, so I'm going to have to work on something about that. I'll probably, at some point I want to create my development site, rswfire.dev. Just haven't gotten around to that, and I could put them there now. Just thinking through next steps for me personally. So after all of that, I moved on and I was working with the music industry. Did that for a long time. I was creating an elaborate system. So we had music streaming service, and then we had music distribution service where users, bands could sign up. They could upload their music, and then we would distribute it for them to all the different platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. And then we would track their royalties, and we tracked all of that in blockchain. And then we will pay them out whenever the platforms paid us for them. We transferred it to them. We used smart contracts so that you could set up different ratios for different band members. So whatever would come in, it would get distributed among the band members, and they wouldn't even have to distribute that themselves. Did that for a number of years, but my relationship with that client was very complicated. We hired a lot of programmers. In fact, we hired them from Upwork, did this for years. I can't tell you how many bad experiences I had from that. Half the people I hired turned out to be people other than who they claimed to be. And I'd always figure it out and confront them. Some of them I would keep around because they were decent enough, but I just had so many bad experiences. Like, I couldn't get a team to just focus and implement the vision I had. And I wasn't getting support from my boss. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the personality for that, and it wasn't going anywhere. So eventually I decided to just hand that over to someone else, and I walked away. And now it's 2 years later, and they still haven't released anything, which is just proof of what I'd been saying all along. But they would have been amazing projects. And then, since then, I've been working on my own stuff. 2 years ago, I ruptured my life, and I moved into an RV. I started a YouTube channel, of all things, and I started documenting my life. And 2 years later, that evolved into Autonomy Realms. And that's where I am now. So I guess that's the brief version of it. I've done a lot of things in my life. I worked for Comcast. I used to make databases for them, and once upon a time, something I had licensed in one office ended up in another office, and that person couldn't hack into it, so they got in touch with me and asked me to evolve the product, and I did. I ended up having a working relationship with this person for years and years, to the future from that. Just worked on so many different things, I don't really, especially now with AI, there's really no point talking about tech stacks and stuff like that. Our jobs are changing. You need someone who understands systems, who can set them up for you, who can manage those systems, who can supervise an AI, who can build stuff with an AI. That's me. That's what I've been doing myself on limited resources for the past year, because it's been so challenging finding work. So I'm here at the ocean. I'm going to end it there. I'm just going to show you a view of the ocean. And I'm looking for line clients. I hope that I find some. Wax Myrtle Beach.